Yeah, exactly. The clout, we beat AFTV. But I say bring it on. I love a challenge. And that's how, if you don't break past that threshold, you're never going to get better. If you're going to stay in your comfort zone, you only are going to be at that certain level. I was telling him that, at this period where I keep getting injured, I don't want to play football anymore. And he was like, look, Rich, just try this out. So, and in terms of the YouTube scene now, there's a lot more players that are getting opportunities. If you had a go, you've experienced it, and you say, this is not for me, this isn't for you, but at least give it a go. You're here for a reason.
You alright, Richard? How are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Welcome to the Chinwag podcast.
Great to be on the show.
So let's just get straight into it. When you're from a young age, who got you into sport and how did you get into sport?
From a young age, I'd say when I was 8, my dad got me into sports quite a lot. Mum as well a little bit, not too much, but it was more dad. Funny enough, he's a Chelsea supporter, so he said to me, literally when I was about 8, gave me a football and was like, have fun. So I did. And I remember, how old was I? Probably about 9-ish. I was at QPR. They used to do like a sort of summer holiday camp.
So let's back up. We're going too quick already. We're less than a minute in. So was football the only sport you played as a child, or what other sports did you play?
Played a little bit of basketball, bit of tennis, badminton, the sort of the usual stuff that you do in school, but football was the main thing for me.
What was the main one? So did your dad play as well?
He played, but it wasn't to like a great level. He was a hockey player. So back home in Nigeria.
To introduce you into hockey?
Hockey wasn't really popular over here as much as it was back in Nigeria. So yeah, he played for like the nationals. I think one point he represented Nigeria.
Wow, okay.
So yeah, he was very good.
So obviously your dad introduced you to football. From an early age, what made you love football so much?
It's a good question. What made me love football so much? I'd probably say mainly just the atmosphere. I remember my dad taking me to watch, I think it was Nigeria versus Jamaica at QPR. I remember this quite vividly, but I remember going into Loftus Road because they were playing there at that point, and the stadium was just rocking, and all the Nigerian fans were just going crazy. From there I was like, I want to be there one day.
So was that your first memory of going to a football game? Yeah,
that was my first memory going like watching a football game.
Did you go to many football games as a child with your dad, or was it more on TV?
It was a lot more on TV. A few with my dad as well. I remember when I was at Brentford, there was a couple games where they'll give us cheap tickets and we'll go watch like the youth of like the Arsenal team and stuff, because they were playing at the Hive.
So you mentioned earlier about the QPR stuff. Do you tell me all about like your experiences of playing there, and tell me what was it actually you did at those camps and stuff?
It was like a sort of 6-week camp or 5-week camp, whatever you want to say, and used to be training, and then at the end, well not at the end, but halfway through you have your lunch, and then after that it's just games, tournaments, and then each week you'd have player of the week or most improved player, etc. I started getting to football playing that. I done all right, and then from there I started to play Sunday League football.
So what team? So were you at QPR? Is that a QPR?
No, I wasn't at QPR, but it was a sort of like a QPR community-based sort of thing. So like Brentford Kicks, Watford Kicks. Yeah, so QPR sort of funded that.
So that's what got your football career started.
Yeah, basically.
So you mentioned a few teams. Have you had any trials anywhere with anyone?
Yeah, when I was 12, I was at Chelsea. I had like a 6-week trial there, which it was a very different experience, but a very good experience.
Talk to me about your experiences at Chelsea. Just
It's from the start in terms of just how the children were disciplined. You need to be there on time, can't be late, you'll get fined, etc.
even at 12 years old.
Like you need to go in with clean boots.
Did you ever get fined?
No, of course not. Of course
Sure.
not. Maybe once.
Maybe once for what?
Maybe, coming late. Because
dear.
it's in Cobham, it's quite far. Coming
Yeah.
from Dad had to sort of stop work a bit early and take me in. But yeah, it was a great experience, and in terms of the quality of the players as well, very high standards.
So your very first day at Chelsea, before you went in, did your dad give you any tips? What were you feeling? What was going through your head at that point?
I'm going to be very honest with you. I was nervous. I was like, wow, this is Chelsea. I think at the time, like, your Drogba's was there and stuff and all that. And obviously my dad's a big Chelsea fan as well. I support Arsenal. I didn't follow down that path. But yeah, first day I was, it was scary. It got to a point where I didn't want to go.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I was that scared. But then my dad was like, look, listen, if you don't go, you'll never know. At least if you had a go, you've experienced it, and you say this is not for me, this isn't for you. But at least give it a go. You're here for a reason. They want to look at you.
Get picked up by Chelsea. What was the process in that?
So, if I'm not mistaken, I think my dad knew a friend whose son was playing there, because we played for the same Sunday league team at the time. And then my dad was like, yeah, bring my son along. You can see, how good he is. And then my dad's friend at the time said, okay, I've seen how your son plays. I'll talk to the manager, and then we'll go from there. No promises, of course, but then and then I got there.
So your experiences at Chelsea, what was the coaching like, and what talk me through from the moment you got to training to the moment you left. What happened in your day?
I remembered I was at first when I first got there. I played with, I think, the under 11s, because they didn't know if I could fit in with the 12s or the 11s. So I played with the 11s first, and we done this passing drill, and at first I didn't understand it. It was so fast paced. Everything was like 1-2 touch. I wasn't used to how crisp the passing was. Constantly checking your shoulders. I remember that was quite tough. But to be fair, the manager that was there, he sort of put an arm around me and was like, yes, I know you're nervous, but keep going. We can see you've got quality, and then continue on. So yeah.
Are you one of those players that needs the arm around them, or are you one of those players that needs to be kick up the backside to get the best out of you?
When I was younger, I was very shy, very timid in a way.
Look at you now, you're on a podcast.
Yeah, I'm in a podcast now. I can't stop talking. But yeah, when I was younger, I was quite timid, shy. So I needed that arm around the shoulder. But yeah, now I'm the one that's sort of delegating and telling people what to do.
So for those that don't know, what position do you play?
I play centre back.
Have you always been a centre back, or have you gone from striker to midfielder to centre back? Will you end up as a goalkeeper, maybe?
So I first started as a centre back when I first played, and then when I went to Brentford, I started off.
How old
as
were
a
you when you went to
striker.
Brentford?
I was 14.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's keep to Chelsea.
Yeah, but yeah, at Chelsea I was playing centre back there, and then there was times I would play right back as well, because they thought I could sort of do the both. But mainly centre back. That's all I've known.
So anyway, we're going back to the day at Chelsea. We've gone way off there. We've gone way off. That's the nature of the Chinwag podcast, guys. That's the nature.
That's it.
But anyway, from the moment you got there, from the moment you left, talk me through your day.
Yeah. So we'd arrive around probably about 6 p.m. because obviously I had school and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
So I wasn't allowed to go out of school. My parents are very strict on the education part. So yeah, so I would go to like an evening session. You come in, sort of the manager will get all the children round, tell you what's gonna happen, what drills, so forth, and then you go out there and start, training. And then at the end, we'd play a game. Sometimes we wouldn't. Sometimes it would just be straight focusing on the shape or whatever like that. But yeah, that was the main part of it.
In your time at Chelsea, what was would you say your greatest moment you had at that time in Chelsea? At Chelsea, sorry.
Greatest moment. I'd probably say the greatest moment was when it sounds silly, but when I finally got up to pace.
Yeah.
Just doing the training sessions. So I'm not out of my depth anymore. I'm like one of them now. Sort
So
of.
how long did it take you to get up to become one of them in your words?
Probably about 2 or 3 weeks, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and then when that sort of happened, everyone sort of rates you, if that makes sense. They accept you more.
Football is a very judgy sport.
Exactly.
In the first training session, even teams that we play for now, you can tell whether he's good or he's dead.
Yeah.
So I can imagine the nerves you felt, especially going to the team that your dad supports.
Yeah.
So moving on, how long were you at Chelsea for?
So 6 weeks. So I had the trial there for 6 weeks.
You had the trial for 6 weeks. So what happened after that 6 weeks?
So 6 weeks after that trial, they said sorry. We don't think you're good enough. So I was like, okay. And then I went back to my Sunday league team,
Which is
actual soccer at the time. So they played in the Harrow Youth League. And then I was captain there for a season. We won the league.
this is now when you're 13.
Yes, I was 13 now. So yeah, we've won the league. Then next season, we've won the league again, I believe. And then I've left to go to Brentford.
So okay, so let's slow down a bit. Let's slow down. You're rushing forward, Richard. So you said you won the league.
Yeah.
So what was the process? So you said you went to Brentford after that. What was the process of you getting picked up by Brentford after you won the league with your Sunday League club?
Well, round the corner from here in Norfolk. Shout out Norfolk. You got it. So at the Racecourse Park, everyone knows the cage. They used to be Brentford Kicks. So I believe it was every Mondays and Thursdays, if I can remember. But it was 2 days in a week we'd go. And there'll be 2 sessions. So there's one from like, let's say for example, year 7 to like year 11. And then there's ones from like year 11 to, I don't know, 6th form, for example. So you got the youngers and then the olders. Obviously when I first started, I played with the younger lot. And then it started to become a bit, I wouldn't say easy because that sounds cocky, but it did in a way. And they realised that, and then they put me up with the older guys.
Baller, yeah?
I try. I'll let you judge when you come and see me play. And then I went to the older lot. At first, sort of struggled because physically, I'm like at the time I'm like 12, 13, and you're playing guys who were like 15, 16 at the time, and the difference in physicality, they're a lot stronger, they're a lot quicker. But technically, I'm not doing that bad. Obviously, I'm not the best, but I'm not the worst either. So I'm in the middle.
From comparison, obviously Chelsea to Brentford, was there a big difference in level of coaches, players, facilities?
So at this time, it's just like people just coming to play. So
Okay.
it's got nothing to do with the development yet. So I'm not there yet.
Right.
So we're just talking about guys, you want to come play football, and then you'll have 2 coaches that not coaching, but they're just letting you play games. It's like a bit of free play. But I think there was one head coach would come down and would look at the games and pick players out to go to the ATP scheme. So that's the advanced training program.
I was just about to ask you what that meant.
Yeah, so that's the advanced training program scheme.
You've got them before me.
And that's the level below the Centre of Excellence. So at the time, Centre of Excellence for Brentford is like the academy, basically. And then from there, you go into the first team. So at the time, I was at the ATP scheme. So I've moved from just playing cage football to ATP, and then we played on Saturdays, trained on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Sometimes it'll be Monday.
So what's what are your experiences in the ATP scheme?
This is where I've transformed from being a very basic player to, he's actually very good. So that's that transition. I think I personally peaked late. I peaked at like 16, 17.
And you're how old now?
27 now.
Okay.
So,
so
yeah, I was in my prime then. Not now.
Not now anymore.
No, we're going. But in terms of that, from being a child to an adolescent, that's if that makes sense. That transitional period, I've peaked quite late, but then because everyone at 12, 13 is doing well, and I'm just still here like Rich. Yeah, he's a good guy. He's just plays it safe. He's like a solid 6 out of 10. Now when I go there, I'm about
just above average. Surely it's 7. Surely it'd be 7 out of 10, no?
So it's like, but now I'm playing like 7.5s, 8 out of 10.
Love it.
So I'm doing decent now. 9 out of 10, maybe 9.5 now. I'm not in my peak, but you know.
So when will you be 34, 35? You should be retiring by then.
Well, centre backs do peak late.
That's true.
Look at
So then you can go to goalkeeper and you can play till 45.
Yeah, we can do that. You can teach me.
Yeah. So did you eventually get into the Centre of Excellence?
No, I didn't.
So what happened after the ATP for you?
So when I got to about, I'd say 17. So at 17, Brentford stopped the whole Centre of Excellence ATP. They cut that off. So they've made like I think it's like the first team, and they've got Brentford B. And then
I think they still have that now.
Yeah. So yes, they stopped that, and then they created that. So there's no gap in between, like under 16s to the first team. So it's straight there, B team, first team. So they stopped that completely.
So they released a lot of players.
Yeah. So a lot of players just got released. And
so once you got released, again, obviously, that must have been difficult.
Yeah.
So what was going through your mind? Did you lose your love for football after getting released twice? Just talk me through the process of trying to get yourself back in again.
Yeah. At the time, I was just thinking, I've got to go through this again. It was a bit better in terms of I wasn't told that you weren't good enough. It was they scrapped it, but it was still difficult. Yeah, it's still difficult because you're getting to a period where you're loving your football, you're playing every week, you feel like something is coming, and all of a sudden, boom, they say that's it, no more. You got to start from the beginning. And at the time, I didn't know anyone who could help me to find a different team or to say, oh, Rich, have a look this way. I've had to sort of find it myself. And then at the time, I just stopped playing football. So I had a year out of not playing football.
Did you take up any other sports, like hockey from your dad?
No, I didn't take up hockey. I still played football, but not at that competitive level.
Just with your friends?
Yeah, just with friends. So yeah, I just said to myself, if something happens, great. If not, that's how I felt now. I was just very content in just either playing with friends, or if something happens, but I'm not going to chase after it. And then after that, I started playing college football, and that's with QPR. So
so you came up full circle.
yeah. So at 18, I think it was, 18, played with the second team for the majority of the season, and then played a bit of first team, floating in and out. But at this time now, I'm not playing centre back now. I'm playing right back.
Okay.
Because at the time when I was floating from the first team,
Well, QPR first team.
not the QPR first team. So this is at college.
Oh,
so we would have like we're
Okay.
playing college football now.
Okay.
So I was at Uxbridge College at the time.
Okay.
And then I'm playing for the second team where I'm playing centre back. But then when I go to the first team, I'm playing right back because they've already had two.
Was that difficult transitioning different positions? Sorry, for two different teams.
Do you know what? No, it wasn't. The first game, I think I had a blinder of a game, and I at that point I didn't know I could play right back. Well, not I could, but not at that level. That game I was just up and down. I think I assisted that game. Yeah, I assisted someone that game as well. Got the ball out wide, just whipped it in, and then my striker hit near post. And then yeah, from there, sort of solidified my position near the end of that first season. And in the second season, I played first team, and then and then at the end of that year, I played at Loftus Road.
So talk me through. How was it playing at? What was that? Still with college? You played at Loftus Road?
Yeah, so that was with college. So there will be other colleges that are QPR owned bases. That makes sense. So I think Hammersmith was one, and one might be from like East London or something like that. But there was like four teams, and then we had like a little tournament, and yeah, that was a surreal experience.
Yes. So yeah, talk me through the experience of playing at an actual stadium against other colleges. What was that like?
Just looking at as you're coming in, because we were obviously in the changing rooms and we're changing and we're like, wow, this is QPR, change room's amazing, and then you walk through the tunnel and you're like, wow, like obviously it's not packed out, but you still have your families and their friends, and then other families from the other schools.
Like a decent.
Yeah, there was like one section of it full at least.
Okay.
So it was still, it was still amazing. So I remember I played right back. I was playing literally next to the fans. So I'm taking a throw in and you're hearing ooh or stuff like that. So
I can tell by your smile on your face you had an amazing time.
Yeah, it was an amazing time. We didn't win it. I think we came. I think it was second or third. Was it second? I think second. I'm not too sure. But yeah,
Third still podium, so it's alright.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, I think everyone just loved just being there. It was just, sort of that day, like taking part. And I remember when we scored our first goal, everyone huddled up and we all celebrated. It was amazing. It was amazing.
After college, so obviously you left college, and what happened? What team did you play for then?
So the transition from leaving college and then playing men's football. So I'm now in semi-pro now at this point. So I'm at 19. So the manager of my college team knew someone who was at Hillingdon Borough. So that's the first semi-pro team that I've been at. I think that was step 5. So that was the Spartan Prem. So that's, well, for those that don't know what step 5 is, it's the pyramid scheme, and you've got conference, etc., conference south, and then you move down. So that was the 5th step on that ladder or that pyramid. So yeah, I trialed out there, and then I remember the manager came up to me and said to me, "You're doing really well, but I just want you to talk more, and just sort of being that imposing centre back, intimidating centre back, shall I say?" And I was like, okay. So then he's like, okay, I wait to see that in the second half. Then second half I smashed it because we played their first team. Although we lost, but I had a good game. And the manager came back to me and said, "What's your name? What's your number? I want you to come."
I thought you were gonna start rapping there. What's your name? What's your number?
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. So he said, "What's your name? What's your number?" And then he said, "I want you to come down to pre-season." So I said, "Okay, I'll come down." And I remember in pre-season, we done the bleep test. first.
Oh God.
So yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So the first training session, bleep test. He's like, oh yeah, we're gonna do the bleep test. You have to get a minimum of 11, otherwise you won't come back. The last time I done a bleep test was probably in year 9.
And what did you get in year 9?
8.4, and I was probably like 14, 13 then. I'm now 19. I've not done a bleep test since.
Just to clarify, it's not right now. It's not 19.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, not right now. Not right now. I know I look quite old for 19. Yeah. So I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I don't know what I'm gonna get. So then we go in. I get to 8.4. I'm feeling good. I'm like, okay, we're doing all right here. I get to 9. I'm like, oh, I'm a bit blowing now. I get to about 10.5. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this, but I need to push myself now. I have to push myself. So I've got to 10.9. I'm like, you can't give up, Rich. There's no way you can give up. Keep going. And then I remember my best friend, shout out Alex, by the way. He was next to me. He was like, Rich, let's go. Keep going. And that just triggered me, and I ended up getting 12.
Okay.
Like I like not smashed it, but I done decent. So the target was 11. I've got to 12. I never felt so like my chest was burning. I just couldn't. I was just like, oh. And then after that, we had to go into a game.
Oh, straight after that.
So after that, it's like, yeah, okay, guys, well done. We're gonna go into a game. Take 5 minutes, straight in. Make sure you sort of like stretch, etc. Straight in. And I was like, what is this? Is this semi-pro life? I'm 19. I'm thinking, what if this is semi-pro life? I don't know if I'm cut out for this. And then we ended up playing a game for like another half an hour or so, because he wanted to sort of filter out who's obviously fit enough, who can play, because obviously they were looking to sort of win the league. Because I think the season before that, I think they didn't do too well, and they shipped out a lot of players. And I remember one of their players that came through, he was like a joint manager. His name is Sam Hurrell. He won Football Icon for Chelsea, I think it was. Yeah, I know, right? QPR and Chelsea keep coming around me. it's just yeah. I remember playing my first season. I ended up winning Young Player of the Year.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah, so done well there. And yeah, that was a great year. Done another year with them. Didn't do quite well. I think we ended up coming. No, I think we got relegated that year, but I didn't play as much.
So, relegation's a big thing. How did you take that personally, and how did the team take that? How did you? What was the feeling?
Yeah, obviously it was bad. At that age, I've never been relegated before. So in your second season now, you're playing semi-pro football after winning Young Player of the Year, and I think finishing 9th or wherever it was. We've done quite well, and then we got to almost the first round of the FA Cup. So we went through the preliminary rounds, and then we just lost the round before going to the first round. So after having a high my first season, we've now come down to a low. And then the managers changed as well, so they brought their own players in.
Yeah.
I've not played as much as I would have liked to, and of course at the time they're not in a great position, so the managers bring in older, experienced boys to sort of steady the ship, which I understood, but I felt the players that were playing, I was still better than them. I might not have had the experience, but I was still playing better than them, and some of them will come up to me and be like, Rich, I don't know how you're not playing. Like, forget about the age. Like,
Yeah.
if you can play, you can play. And then I remember at some points I was playing left back, and I was just like,
What's your left foot saying?
non-existent.
Well, not non-existent,
1 star. Half star.
Yeah, probably like 1, 2 at best.
So how long were you at Hillingdon Borough for?
2 seasons.
2 seasons. Where did you go after that?
After that, I went to... Oh my God, where did I go to after that? Oh, I went to Cheshire United Reserves. And then I played like played one game for them, and then I went to another team. I went to Kensington Dragons because I weren't playing.
Is that that's Middlesex League, right?
So I went down to get game time because at the point I'm like, okay, I don't care where I go now. I need to start playing games now to get back up there. So I went there, finished the season off. Then I went to Broxbourne. And then after that, I went to North Greenford. After North Greenford, I've moved to Amersham. And then Amersham done quite well there. I've played like majority of the season there. I think that's probably one, like Hillingdon Borough first season and Amersham period is probably in terms of men's football, that's probably the most happiest I've been because I've played like maybe a good 20 plus
How long
games.
were you at Amersham for?
2 seasons.
And what were your experiences like there? Did you do well? Did you perform at your best?
First year we got promoted, so to be fair, we got quite lucky in the sense that we came 6th, but you needed to have some regulations in order to go into the next stage. So, for example, a lot of teams played in like a recreational park, but you needed like floodlights, stuff like that, in order to go up a division. So we got quite lucky, and then the teams that are above us, I think probably like 3 or 4 teams didn't have that. So they ended up staying in the same league and we got promoted. But that season, again, I played near enough every game. If I wasn't injured, I was playing basically. Again, I loved the football there. And then the second season...
Was it tough in the second season because there was... Obviously, you finished 6th, and there was teams above you that didn't get promoted because of the facilities. So was it tough going up a division? Did you feel that you were ready personally and as a team?
I think we were ready. But what hit us was injuries. So our spine, including myself.
How old are you at this point, sorry?
Probably about 23, 24. Around that period, 23, 24-ish. And including myself, I started getting injured a lot. I had a lot of niggles, especially my hamstring. I just don't know what it was. I just couldn't shake off that injury. I'd come in, feel good, play about a good 5 games, and then hamstring goes again. Then I come in again, but because I was compensating on one side, now my other hamstring's gone. So it's just, it was just a nightmare season for me. And that's probably the first season where I've had to suffer, literally just trying to get fit, come back in, come back out, come back in, come back out. And it's just up and down. And you can't, I'm a person that I need a run of games to get comfortable and play properly. So when I start here and go up here and then I get hit by injury, it takes me a long time it's like a steam train.
Yeah.
You put the coal in, after a while the train comes, then it's coming through, then after again, boom. I have to start it.
Should just pull yourself a bullet train instead.
Well, I'm a big boy, It takes time. But yeah, that I found that difficult. I think that was just as difficult, maybe more difficult than me getting released. Because,
oh wow, okay.
Because being released, at least you know, it's like you can't come back. Here, you're playing, and then all of a sudden you don't know we're gonna get injured again, and it happens. It's just it's out of your control, So yeah, I think there was times where I honestly just didn't want to play football anymore because I kept getting injured so much.
Like the second time you lost the love, as you say, for football.
Yeah.
So after you were Amersham for 2 years, you said. So where did you go? What was the reasoning that you left Amersham? And where did you go after that?
The reason why I left Amersham, one, because the manager got sacked, and I got on well with the manager, like really well. He took me from Chesham United Reserves.
So you're basically Nico Cranshaw and Harry Redknapp.
Yeah, you can say that because after that he told me to go to Enfield Borough.
Okay.
And then from Enfield Borough, the season after he followed, and then he became a joint manager with Sean Sean and Manny shout you out as well. But yeah,
Many shout outs on here.
yeah, we got to. But yeah, from there, I went to Enfield Borough, and again, didn't really play much because
The injuries.
yeah, injuries again, because I was coming back from hamstring. Yeah, that hamstring just never goes away. Hamstring.
Does that still bother you to this day, or are you over that?
I've probably, the last injury I've had, probably 2 seasons ago, but because of the pandemic, I've kind of been lucky, in a sense. So I've had to, well, my body's been able to sort of fully rest and recover. So now I'm just raring to go now. So yeah, the pandemic's been a blessing, the curse in a way.
So I know you play for Quarterback FC. That they're a YouTube team. Am I correct?
Yes, they are a YouTube
So how did you get involved in the YouTube team scene?
Through my friend. Shout out to David Carty.
Another shout out.
Sorry. Yeah. I'm quite
Respect
blessed.
to you. Respect to you. I'm not gonna lie. Respect.
Yeah. So I was telling him that, you know, at this period where I keep getting injured, I don't want to play football anymore. And he was like, "Look, Rich, just try this out." So, and in terms of the YouTube scene now, there's a lot more players that are getting opportunities. Before it used to just be the semi-pro pyramid, which I was talking about. If you get seen, but he said, yeah, this YouTube scene, it's popping off right now. You're more than good enough. I play for this team. The managers are blessed. Yeah, so I've went there. I told him that I've been injured.
Get the excuses out of the way early.
Yeah, let them know. I told them that I'm injured. Gonna be a bit rusty. It's been a while. First training session back. I done all right.
How long were you there for?
I was there for like a season and a half.
So why did you leave Quarterback?
I left because I felt me developing myself stopped. We're in a league called Replay Me League, and there was a point where we were losing games. Not necessarily my fault. I'm not even being biased or anything like that. I'm actually not being biased. I don't think it's necessarily my fault. Of course you make mistakes, it happens. But yeah, as a team collectively, it just wasn't clicking. So they was like, okay, we're going to bring in some new players.
The Quarterback FC still exists? Or?
Yeah, they still exist now. Yeah. They still exist now. Yeah, so they brought in new players, which was fair enough. You want to see change. I still felt I was one of the better defenders. Again, not trying to be biased or be a prick. I got a lot of love for them, by the way. So it's not impersonal. But yeah, they done their thing, and I said, look, listen, I've got an opportunity to play somewhere else.
And that somewhere else is?
AFTV.
AFTV, okay, wow.
Yeah.
How did you get approached by AFTV? Because I'm sure my followers, they'll know all about AFTV. So
again, I got to shout out the same person who got me through to Quarterback.
David Carty.
Yeah, again.
I remembered.
We got to shout him out. Man like you.
Yeah. For Kodak for one game as well.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That's how I met you.
Exactly. And yeah, I said to him, I'm looking to leave, possibly, look to just DM other teams. And he said, yeah, look, I'll give you the manager's number. I know him personally. Yeah, so he gave me his number. I messaged the manager, and then he said, oh, brilliant, we're in transition at the moment. We're looking for new players. Come along. And then, yeah, playing since then.
So, how was it like playing for AFTV? Like obviously they're massive on YouTube with their Arsenal reviews and stuff like that. So what is it like actually playing for the football team, AFTV FC?
If I'm being honest, it's just like another team. That's how I look at it. I'm not looking at it as, oh my God, whatever. I just look at it as, yeah, it's just another team. I'm just, looking to better myself and help the team and make sure they elevate and go to the path which, they want to take it as a club. And yeah, I'm happy for the opportunity to play. and I just got to keep showcasing my talent. You know, after every 90 minutes that I play, the more I play, the sharper I get, the fitter I become, and yeah, that's it. Of course, like you said, AFTV, you know, it's very big, and when you're playing against other teams, those teams play extra hard because they want to get that, you know,
the clout.
Yeah, exactly, the clout, we beat AFTV, but I say bring it on. I love a challenge, and that's how. If you don't break past that threshold, you're never going to get better. If you're going to stay in your comfort zone, you only are going to be at that certain level. If you're out of that comfort zone and, you know, players and giving it that extra because of clout or whatever the reason is, yeah.
So how long have you been at AFTV for?
Probably a month and a half or so.
Oh wow, so you're proper new.
Yeah,
You're really new.
Yeah,
there.
I'm still new.
So are you enjoying it at the moment? Is it what you expected, more than you expected?
Yes, I mean, I'm enjoying it. Obviously, results haven't been going the way we've planned recently, but no, I'm still enjoying it. I'm loving my football. Anytime on the pitch is a blessing, and I thank God. But yeah, no, I wouldn't say more than I expected. But we'll see. Well, I'm still quite new, like as we've established already. So yeah, we'll just see what the future holds. We've got a final next week. So yeah, probably it all starts from there. Just that's the ultimate.
I wish you all the best in the final.
Thank
but
you very much.
I think we're nearly at the end now. I don't know how long we'll be going for. I think we'll be going for quite a while. So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years in a football sense?
Next 5 years in a football sense. I'd like to still be playing. Still giving it my all.
Will you be past your prime at that point?
No, I'll just be into my prime. into my prime. Yeah, no. Yeah, I love the game. So I want to, you know, as long as the body says yes. The brain's always going to say yes. It's all about if the body tells you yes. You know, doing the right things, right habits, and also probably going into coaching as well. I'm going to start to do my level 1 pretty soon. So
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we finish, is there anything you'd like to plug? Any more people you want to shout out?
Yeah. Obviously, if you don't know, talk to your boy SNMC, the clothing brand.
I'll flash it on the screen now as well.
Me and my 2 other boys, Alex and Jason, shout you out. Yeah, so follow us on Instagram, s.n.m.c.
So that's the end of my podcast. Thank you for joining me on my podcast, Richard.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much for having me.
Enjoyed yourself.
As always, great company.
But yeah, thanks for joining me. If you did enjoy that video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget, I'll see you later for more.
Let's go. Appreciate that, man. That was good.